that, Megan. So yeah, any other questions about kind of the agenda? So we've got announcements, our online instruction expectations, and then the AVID digital learning and online tools. Cool. I don't really have a separate slide for announcements, but like I said, I got all of your clock hour, credit hour sheets. So the program managers and I will kind of look at them. The ones that I've looked at so far, there hasn't been any problems. It's pretty self-explanatory. So kind of as you go along in your classes and planning, they might change, and we'll have you kind of finalize them and make sure that they're correct kind of more towards the end. But that's kind of the update on those. And then the next thing is that I started doing observations. So I started last week, I'd watched CBI and Dr. Kemp's classes. And what I'm doing is I'm watching their online classes, or I guess everybody's online classes is the idea. What I think I'll do this time is I'm going to pick like a program each week, and then kind of from there fill it in. I know before I've done like here are 3 weeks and fill in whatever time, but I think it's easier to just go program by program. So be aware that that'll be coming up. And I'm going to suggest that program managers, if they're available, to watch as well, because I think it would be good just for all of us to see like what do online classes look like in our programs, and kind of what is the student experience like too, because that's something we'll talk about today too, is like, are we doing too much synchronous? Are we not doing enough? That kind of thing. So we want to look at some of that stuff too. So again, it's just kind of trying to go from our Band-Aid to a more polished online experience. Any questions? No? Okay. So, kind of like I was saying, so I'm going to be starting to do some observations, and these are kind of some things that the program managers and Tony and I kind of came up with that we're looking for, that we think would really be good practice as we really start to refine our online classes. I don't know, Tony, did you want to go over this, or would you like me to go over it with some support? Okay, I'll go over it. Okay, so again, we've talked about. Oh, sorry.
Abby, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I don't know, my phone is being wacky here. I don't know why. Oh. I said I just have a couple of general comments, and then you can keep going. I think you put together a great collection of some tools and recommendations. I will give you the larger context. Is that we've been doing a lot of contingency planning. What happens if students or an instructor gets sick? What happens if a program needs to close down for a while? What happens if they do another stay-at-home order? Almost all of those scenarios and a few more are going to say that we really need to be ready to be fully online at some point. We just need to be ready. And that means, for the most part, you folks have been doing a fantastic job making these transitions, getting stuff out for the students. I personally, applaud you folks like almost daily about what you've done in order to make this happen. But as Abby said, we now want to take what we had to do in 3.5 days and just become the damn best online school we can. And that means some improvements. I've asked program managers to start with assessing everybody's course and fill in where we need to improve where we can. I've suggested that each instructor present his curriculum to the other instructors in your group. I think there's 2 reasons why I'm suggesting that. One is that You know, God forbid somebody does get sick, or just in the normal course of things, people can get sick. So if other of your colleagues are familiar with curriculum, the structure of it, then they might be able to step in and help. The other value, I think, in sharing it with your fellow instructors is everybody can learn, right? You can say, oh, I never would have thought of that. Or what's a cool way to get an assessment? Or that's a really engaging video. So I think that if we think about this not as assessing each other so much as we think of this as helping each other, it'll be really a good way for us to move down the road and enhancing the curriculum. Because we are, to use the old phrase, kind of fixing the train as it's moving down the tracks, right? And I know that you guys are busy, and I know there's not a lot of time, but that's why if we can present to each other and help out with each other and learn from each other, it'll be a lot smoother. The other thing, then, I think Abby already started to touch on this, is that it really is time for us to make effective, intentional decisions about synchronous time and asynchronous time. If everything is asynchronous, then it's, you know, it's self-paced and more like a, what do they used to call those courses where you just get some materials in the mail, right? And we know the value of the interactivity for our students. But there's different times to do different kinds of things. To have a synchronous class and they're sitting there just doing their homework is not an effective use of that time. If they're, we want them to be as fully engaged as possible for the times that they're synchronous. Students who are synchronous for 6 hours a day are going to get tired and are going to get unengaged. So we want them to do good work asynchronously and then come in and take advantage of the synchronous format to ask questions, to talk to each other, to explore ideas. So for example, you wouldn't want a synchronous class to spend 45 minutes watching a video. That's just not good use of the time. A 5-minute video followed up by good discussion works. But the 45-minute video, the half-hour video, whatever, should be done asynchronously and then solicit by the kinds of questions you ask them or the little assignment that you give them, feedback so you as the instructor know where they got it, know where they didn't get it, and can address those in the synchronous times when you're all together. The value of some of the asynchronous is also that it gives the student a little bit more flexibility about when they need to do it. A lot of people are going to have jobs because they still need to eat. They got stuff going on in the house that can be distracting. That also gives them a chance to kind of dive into work with the material at their own level. Sometimes students are going to get it done in what would have been half of a synchronous class. Other ones need twice as much time, and we know that about our learners. So just some real intentional time, especially as you're going through the reviews of your curriculum, to really figure out which days and which lessons are going to be synchronous and which ones asynchronous, and what's the best kind of material to put into either both of those buckets. That's all the overview I had, except for to say again, you guys are fantastic and have really come a long, long way in this transition. And all I can tell you is that I sing your praises at every leadership team meeting, and you'll be happy to hear that your praises are sung back at all those same meetings. They're absolutely impressed, and they should be.
Yeah, definitely. You all have done a great job in this like weird time and an abbreviated time frame, because I know a lot of you haven't had any time to really sit and think about your curriculum. You had to jump from now we're teaching online with one group to now teaching another group within like what a weekend again that we usually have in cohorts. So you've all done a really awesome job. And again, we're just, you know, we're all learning how to do this as we go. So again, we just really, like Tony said, we want to be a really good online school. We want to still give our students a really good education online. And so that's why we want to do this, why we want to kind of work together to really help each other to make our classes really great. Like I said, I think Tony, you went over a lot of these. So again, just think about what kind of format is best. Try to have, we're kind of thinking now also because a lot of you are going to be teaching two cohorts, and you're going to have, when you're on campus, multiple groups that you're going to have to teach, plus you're going to have to be online sometimes with another cohort, that we're thinking you're probably going to need to do more asynchronous classes, less synchronous classes when you're online, just to keep up with all that. Also, like Tony was also saying, it's just hard for students to be on the computer for 6 hours a day. As we all know with the meet, I know after like an hour and a half meeting on Google Meets, I'm like, okay, I'm tired. So we just want to like kind of get a balance. And I think that'll be more at the program level too, of like what classes are going to be synchronous at what time, what's going to be more of an asynchronous class. So that's something that we can kind of as programs look at too. And kind of, we know that asynchronous lessons take a lot of work up front. There's a lot of planning, a lot of typing and creating like kind of a lot of asynchronous lessons tend to be like your dialogue just in written form. But ultimately, after you've created that, you should be able to use it time and time again. So in the end, it'll save you some time. So just remember that as well. Tony said this too, but again, we want really think about what's the best use of the time. Think about what's like worth the students' time to come and be there, right? It shouldn't just be a time for them to do homework. And also, as we looked at our sheets with the hours, you really want to make sure that asynchronous time or even synchronous time isn't just homework time. You want to be doing instruction where you're getting content, they're learning content, they are maybe practicing with the content, and then they're also reflecting on it too. So just something to remember as you're kind of planning your lessons and creating your lessons. Another thing, don't only show videos. Also think about like, if you are going to show a video, like what things can you teach them? And like, I understand like some of you, like maybe in like instruction, it's harder to show a video, or it's harder to show something because you might not have the tools, or it's really big, or you know, you want to show like people on the job site or something. But like, think about it. Is this something that the video is teaching them, or like, can you teach them that? Because I think students are there to learn from you. They want to hear from you, right? So that's something to remember as well. We'll talk about some online tools today after I kind of share with you how we did the AVID online learning. But online learning tools can be really cool because they can help learners kind of collaborate together and make it more of like a community and more fun and engaging. So we'll look at some of those, and I think some of you have used some of them, so maybe you can tell us about them when we get there. Also, another thing I know you're doing is office hours, but continue to do that because that's a really great time for students to ask questions that they maybe normally wouldn't feel comfortable asking in kind of the online synchronous setting, or if they're doing asynchronous stuff, then they can ask questions. Obviously, you will have them in class, so they'll be able to ask some questions there too, but I think it's a good idea to have a few office hours at least. And then this is, again, a COE thing. I mean, all of it's a COE thing because COE wants us to have quality online classes, and also that the students are getting the same quality of class online that they would be in person. So it's all COE stuff, but this one is one very specific COE thing, is that we need to be responding to any student communication within 24 hours. And that doesn't include holidays or weekends, but that's kind of a precedent that we want to set. So if they email you, you've got 24 hours before you should or within 24 hours is when you should respond. And I think that's a good thing to tell students too. Like, I'll respond within 24 hours. And so that you can expect that. And if I don't, you can send me another email or something. So yeah. Any questions about any of these things? Well, let me know if you have any questions as we go along. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the AVID digital learning experience. So this was a 3-day training, and it was post-secondary CTE, so career and technical education focused. And I was really excited to see that the way they did it this year, there were a lot of career and technical education schools with me in the training. And even though a lot of them were secondary, they were very similar to our programs. So they were like welding and business and engineering. So they were very like career and technical focused. So I know that a lot of times we think of, oh, AVID doesn't understand us or doesn't really get CTE, but I think they're doing a good job of really trying to improve that. So I just wanted to kind of share that too, that I think they've done a good job of that. So. And we talked a little bit about that, so we can look at that too. But the way we set it up, so this again is this was the overall schedule. So the morning was synchronous time, and the afternoon was asynchronous. So this might be something, again, for programs to really think about. I know kind of right now we've got a group and, you're in class in the morning, and then you're supposed to be online in the afternoon. So you can think about that too, of how to schedule it. And I know come September, it's going to be kind of a scheduling nightmare. So we really need to kind of think about that a little bit more. So that's how AVID did it though. And we did in the afternoon have like scheduled time. So it was like 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock was the asynchronous time. So they had we were expected to do all our work alone, but our teachers were there for like a office hour. So if we had any questions as we were going, we could talk to them via the kind of the video calling system. So it was cool. So I just wanted to kind of show you what some of this looked like. So they kind of look similar the way AVID did them, but I'll kind of show you what that looks like just to give you an idea of kind of what AVID did to have a good online program. They did use Canvas, so you can see this is going to be our learning management system look like. Is there a question? Here's my mic feedback. So this is what our site's going to look like, pretty similar to this. So you can kind of get an idea as well of what Canvas looks like and how that'll work and how you can kind of use it to teach. So of course with AVID, we always have our beginning, our learning objectives and the essential question. So in the morning, we would sign on to our video conferencing system, and the teacher, much like this, would show the learning management system, so our Canvas page here. And we would go through it together. So she would maybe read the objectives. She'd say the essential question. We'd write down the essential question. And then we would go on to the next page. And a lot of this is just facilitating. So there were different kinds of activities, much like you would structure it in a class. So for example, here, we've got kind of telling the story, telling us what artifacts and evidence is, and that we're going to be using our e-binders, right? But then we did a 2-minute quick write. So again, very similar to class. They said, okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. You're going to do your quick write, and then we're going to come back together. So again, they kind of added in some of those activities that you would have seen in class to help students kind of have that, make it more student-centered, right? And this is something once we get Canvas 2 that we'll be able to do is we did a lot of breakout rooms. So of course here you can see that we used a breakout room to go and have a discussion about our quick write. So again, cool way to be collaborative. The breakout rooms, we just went with our group for a little bit, and then after a while, it would like count down, and it would say, okay, your 5 minutes are up. You're out of your breakout room, and then you're back in with your instructor. So pretty smooth, but that's something that you'll be able to do once we get Canvas. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So that was kind of like a pre lesson kind of activity, getting people thinking about the stuff. And then here, like I said, you see a lot of writing in this. So like here we are reading just little bite-sized things. Our teacher was probably talking about it too. Like here, we're going to talk about the like RP group research. And so these are the things we're talking about. So you can kind of see this is how they did it. So I know some of you are doing PowerPoints and or you're doing your problems on the board or something. So there are different ways to do your synchronous lessons. This is just, like I said, the way AVID did it. So, but I wanted to kind of show you an example of what it could look like as well. The next part that I want to show is the asynchronous lesson. And the asynchronous lesson was very similar. But again, you do this on your own. So there was less of like the breakout room stuff and more of like reflect on your own. Like here's some stuff about growth mindset. So read through this, learn about growth mindset, and then, oh, there's more stuff that I read. And eventually we practice with it, right? Oh, here's a video, short video. And then there was a quick write this in your binder after you watch the video and we talked about growth mindset. So again, it's just something where you're learning some things and then maybe practicing with it and then maybe, then doing like a reflection. So really trying to, again, make it student-centered. And again, this isn't homework. This is something that's not graded, but it's going to help students really kind of engage with the content and learn on their own independently. So, any questions about that so far? What it looked like, asynchronous or synchronous? Everyone's so quiet today.
Monday.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Monday, yeah.
Oh, it's Monday, that's why. I should have known.
Yeah.
Everybody's tired from...
I'm on a different computer. You should be able to see me now, right?
Can you see Spencer?
Yeah, I see you, Spence.
I can see Spencer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Get off that other computer.
Just for clarity, could you explain the complete difference between synchronous and asynchronous for everyone that's here?
Yeah, that's a great
Thank you.
question or comment, Chris. So synchronous, again, is when you're doing like a live, kind of like this. This would be considered synchronous. It's like a live class. So the teacher and the students are at the same time synchronously doing the class content together. Where asynchronously, the student is doing it on their own. So the teacher may or may not be there to answer questions, like in real time kind of a thing. So asynchronous, again, is just kind of independent learning. And I think too, good, like kind of like we were talking about with like asynchronous versus course prep or like the homework, again, is that asynchronous is they're getting content, they're practicing or reflecting, but it's not usually graded, where homework is going to be graded. So that's another thing to just be conscious of, is that we're really going to have to separate those hours because you need to get your certain amount of hours that we came up with on that sheet and then your certain amount of homework hours.
So just to reiterate, what we're doing now, this live interaction, you facilitating this meeting and everyone else being a part of it, that's synchronous.
Yep.
And then asynchronous would be if you are like you're doing now, you're recording this, and someone who missed this would come back and watch it. That would be considered asynchronous, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So if we're talking like we are right now, when that student starts talking, I can't see him. I know I talk to my students even during the videos. I'll stop a video in the middle of it and I'll start explaining things to them that they needed to watch out for. So I'm with them every time they see something. So my students are never alone.
So
So
that would be considered
plus I do a
synchronous.
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus I still do a PowerPoint with them, and I'm talking to them the whole time.
Yeah, and that's
So
still synchronous. Yeah.
yeah, because my students when I teach, they're never even with the video. I watch a video with them because I have to explain things that they're seeing. So it works out really good. I mean, they interact really well.
Yeah, and it's like we were saying, I think that we want to see a little bit more asynchronous. That'll be just the thing. Like I think what you're doing with synchronous. Because are you doing everyday synchronous?
I do a PowerPoint one day, video the next.
Okay. So
But I'm on it with them the whole time though.
yeah. So and I think this will be something like programmatically too you talk about, but I think like I was saying, I think we're gonna try to get more asynchronous stuff just because students are, I think, get fatigued watching some like video synchronous classes. So that's just something to be aware of.
Yeah. But see that the benefit that I'm getting is that I don't have so many questions by the end of the week because I'll show a video for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then I'll talk about it at the end and to see it. And some of them I'll stop right in the middle. They'll have a question in the middle of the video, and I'll stop it for the benefit of everybody else. So we work together. We have been working together, and I haven't had a problem with any. I told anybody, anytime you had a question, I will stop and won't answer it for the benefit of everybody else. So they seem to be working good. And everybody, I haven't had any problems yet.
Okay.
So that's what's been working for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's working.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else?
I'm curious, Abby,
Yeah.
if some of our asynchronous work is neither homework or evaluated for any part of their grade, how do we hold students accountable for actually following through on those activities?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's a lot harder with Google Classroom because you can't see when people have engaged with it, but you will be able to see on Canvas if students if they've opened a page. So you'll be able to see, did they look at their homework or not homework, but did they look at the asynchronous lesson or did they just do their homework, right? And so I think that's something because I definitely think some students are just going to click through your asynchronous stuff and go to the homework, right? And then they'll be like, I'll just go back and look at the stuff if I can't answer the question. So that's what I would say is just like pay attention to if people are really struggling, then you can look at that log and say, hey, you haven't been doing the lessons. So that's, something you need to do. But it's a little harder with Google Classroom. I think that's why I was saying with asynchronous, we've got the attendance activities. So just to show they were there for the day, doing the thing that you asked them to do asynchronously. So that's kind of our solution for Google Classroom. But yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if anybody else has any ideas or want to add anything to that.
Perhaps it could also contribute to their participation. I have a small participation points that are included in their grade, and that could be part of that.
That's very true. Yeah, you could just go and give them a participation grade and go in go in the log and see, are they looking at the asynchronous stuff?
Abby, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's nothing that says that asynchronous work can't be graded.
No.
And certainly can't be evaluated.
Yeah, it can, yeah.
And the other way that you know that they're working with material is that you, have a couple of questions at the end of it. It's like, okay, asynchronously, you're going to be watching this video. When you get done with it, let me know the 2 things that you were confused about, or what 2 items did you notice that you had never known before about framing a wall or whatever it is, so that you can 2 things. 1, you know that they participate, engaged with the material, the assignment, exercise, and 2, you can get feedback from the students so that prior to your next synchronous event with them or the next time on campus, you can say, okay, everybody's asking these same questions, so let me make sure that I go over that component of it. They didn't seem to have trouble with the other 80% of it, but this 20% has been a struggle for everybody. And also, and Abby, I'm not sure if you're going to talk about it here, but the assertion that asynchronous learning is just independent learning is not necessarily always true. If you're using breakout groups, if you're using discussion threads, then they can interact with each other, and that it's a way for you to also to capture their engagement as well. And so you don't want them to be isolated. That's not the whole idea. But part of the hard work up front that has to be is to create the right kind of assessments, assignments, and interactive activity with other students. But all those things are possible.
Yeah, I think those are great points, Tony. Yeah, asynchronous work doesn't have to be like just by yourself. Like Tony was saying, there's discussion boards. Maybe they have a breakout group thing that they're doing. I think also another way that you could do it too is if you had them do like a quick write every asynchronous lesson or something, you could have them turn in like their favorite 3 quick writes or something, and have you grade them or something, so you can see like maybe you're not grading all of them, but you're at least seeing like, okay, they're doing it, they're doing something, or there's different ways to do it. I think kind of make sure that they're still doing what they need to be doing. Any other comments or questions? All right, well, so I just want to also share today just like some online tools that we used at the AVID conference that could be really helpful in your classrooms to kind of help with engagement and help with like continuing to build community online and being able to have students collaborate and make it really your class is really student-centered online as well as in class. So I want to look at these as well. So the first one is Padlet, and Padlet's like it was described as a virtual bulletin board for students to collaborate on. And the way it works is it kind of there are a few different kinds that you can do, but the one that we did, and I'm going to show you a picture of it in a second, is kind of a good replacement for the AVID 4 Corners activity or our Post-it note activity that we love so much. And I know some of you do that. I know Mike DeBoer, you use that sometimes in your class, and I'm sure other people do too. But like, this is a good replacement for that because it allows students to still be able to like put their Post-it note up. You can also do things like create a timeline or brainstorm a topic together, or even make a social contract. So that's what we did. Was we created a social contract. So we had the AVID AEIOU norms, and we had to kind of put our answers to each of these following categories. So you can see we've got like which norm is the most important and why. Why does what does engaging fully in an online environment look like? How will we keep each other accountable for our norms? And what we agree to uphold. So again, this is a way for us to brainstorm, for us to kind of collaborate together. And so it really works very similarly to the Post-it note activity. It's just virtual. So that's a really cool thing. to add to your class and to have them do. So I challenge you to try some of these activities and these tools. Has anyone used Padlet before? Maybe there's a comment in the, no, okay. I'll show you the website too, just so you can see what it looks like. You do have to make an account for all of these. And so that is the one thing, but they're all free and they all work pretty well. So you might also have to have the students make an account. That might also be something that we'll have to kind of do. But the one that I was doing with the kind of the Post-it note type thing with the topics at the top, that's the shelf one. But like we did a timeline one as well. So we looked at like where does career education start? And then what happens as you go through, and we started at middle school because there were some middle school instructors that were like, I do career and like technical education in middle school. And then we went all the way through high school and college and afterwards. So that was kind of a cool activity to do together. You can do things like maps. You can be creative. They're just pretty graphics that allow you to kind of collaborate together. So that was a cool thing. The next one that I used was Flipgrid, and I think Sebai, you have used Flipgrid before because I think she was originally had told me about it. And this allows students to record short videos. And I think,
Abby,
yeah.
what does the student see on the Padlet, and how do they interact with that? Do they see the same screen? Do they separately? Are they writing on like a Google Doc that's a common page?
Yeah, let's see if we can log in.
Who's seeing what and doing what?
Great question. So you're all going to see the same thing. So everybody would go into Padlet, and it's going to look like this. So when the students go to add something, or if you want to add something, you just would click the plus, and then you can add your comment there. So I was able to do it anonymously, but if you sign in, it'll like put your name on there. It looks like you can't see anybody's names on this, but yeah, so this is what it looks like for students, and as a teacher, you're gonna, you'll be the one who creates it, but you'll have something very similar to it. Let me see if I can. So here, if we make one, like I said, this was shelf. I don't know, this looks good, okay. Yeah. So this is kind of what it looks like on the teacher end. I haven't really made one myself, but here's my column. I can say expect, right, and add column. That's another one of our legacy, right? Because that's, I feel like, an activity we do in the first few weeks. So yeah, so that's kind of what it looks like is on the teacher side if you want to create your columns, and then the students will put their stuff under there. So good question, pretty easy to do. So with Flipgrid, like I said, you'll be able to do short videos, and you can use this to make kind of do introductions. You could give short answers or reflections. I know we did like an activity where we did like a tab exercise. So it was like, what are you, trying to remember what it was. It's like a new AVID activity. So it was like, what are you going to do? Or what's the task? What's the action? What's the barrier? And the, I don't remember the last B, but it was something like, how are you going to the benefit maybe. And so we had to say those on our short video, and then so it's kind of a cool little thing. You could also give like a short presentation. They're really short videos though, so they're not very long. I'll show you mine. Let's see. So here's what it looked like. It just kind of put it in here. You can see people's videos. I'm not going to show you that one.
Yeah.
That was the tab one. So you can see they got everybody. Here's my video. I don't have this.
Hi, my name is Abby Malin. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I work at Summit Academy OIC as the curriculum specialist. I taught English as a second language.
I don't think you can hear my sound.
I heard it. We heard it.
Okay. Well, it's
I
fine.
heard it.
Oh, that's scary. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Here you go. Don't really need to.
For about
listen
6
to it.
years,
Well,
and now I've been the curriculum specialist for 1 year now. A fun fact about myself is that I taught English in Japan for 2 years.
10 years. Wow.
for 2 years.
2 years. Oh, okay. I was impressed at first.
10 years would have been cool though, but
Yeah.
so that's like a good example of something that you can do, make little videos. So Flipgrid's kind of it was pretty easy. It just pulls it up, and you do have to have a camera and a microphone and whatnot to do it. So that is something that you're have to be conscious of with students. If they don't have a microphone or something, maybe they have to do something different, but yeah. Has anybody used Flipgrid?
I think no, I haven't. I think Flipgrid is cool, but it could almost be like Facebook.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you're going to get people talking to you.
Well,
I mean, it's a good thing.
Like, isolated, so you wouldn't have it's kind of on your page, I guess, that you create.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
With,
Cool.
but
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
could it be done with a smartphone?
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty sure it can be done on your phone.
Sure.
And I think actually Canvas, you should be able to like answer things with video, like do video as well. So you might just be able to do that within Canvas, but if you wanted to do something like that beforehand with Google Classroom, Flipgrid's a cool way to make it interactive. And then what they did in the AVID conference was they said like we had our groups that we were assigned to for the week, and so it was like watch some of your group members' videos. So it wasn't like watch everybody's video. It was like, hey, like before class one day, like watch your group members' videos. So it's kind of a fun way to do it too. So they don't have to watch all of them, but they can watch some of them. The other one that we used was Kami. And Kami lets you like annotate or take notes in PDF documents. So if you have readings or they're doing like a chapter, you're reading a chapter or something, it's a cool way to kind of mark up the text. So I'll show you, here's an example of mine. So we had to do things like square things that you think we do well, or bracket things that you think we need work on or something. And then I can't remember what the blue and the green were, but we had different like activities we were supposed to do with this reading. I was also supposed to like write some questions that I had. So Kami lets you do that. Kami lets you kind of take notes in different PDF documents. So it's kind of a fun thing. You can tell my drawing is not very good, but that's okay. Yeah.
What kind of document?
PDF. I think you could probably do Word too. But yeah.
So would this be like a shared document? Can like instructor and all students see it, or it's just for you yourself?
It's just for you yourself. And then that's a good question. And then you would have to kind of, I don't know, if you wanted your students to turn it in or something, then they can share it or download it to their computer and send it in. But at least the way we used it was just kind of like, this is an activity for you to read this thing and to really like engage with the text. So it wasn't really meant for anybody to see, so. You can see all my weird notes. Yeah, any other questions about Cami? Again, it's another one that you're gonna need to make an account for, but and have your students make an account for, but it was really easy, and it was easy as like a participant in it. They just kind of told us the first day, here are the things we want you to sign up for so that you can use them in our training. So it worked out really well. The last one, oh, sorry, yes.
Where do they get the doc from? Do you send it to them?
Yep. So they gave us a link in our class, and so we just opened up the link, and then first, yeah, you had to go to the Cami. Yeah, you first went to Cami, and then you opened the downloaded document. So you had to download it, then open it in Cami, kind of a thing.
But it's not sent anywhere.
So you can save it. So I saved mine to my Google Drive, but you can download it or save it once you're done. So the last thing we did was we did like a virtual binder. And this is something that you could use as like a portfolio as well. I'll show you mine. But what it is it's like a website through Google, and you can make different pages on the website. So I had like a different page for each like lesson topic. So this is just a picture of my thing. So I'll actually show you my binder. I don't have it up. I thought I did. Maybe it's in my. So what we had to do was create this kind of like profile first, so you can see it's kind of like, here's my virtual binder, here's my name and where I work and blah, blah, blah. And we had to like put someone or like a fictional character and then something about us. Our social contract, I had to make a commitment statement when we first started. So committing to our online learning. So it's kind of different things. And then you can see, like I said, I've got the different pages here. These were my kind of notes and whatnot for pathways and partnerships. So again, we always had to put our essential question. This is where I did things like my quick writes, my any discussion takeaways. I did them all in my virtual binder. So again, it's just a nice spot to keep everything. But if you are doing in-class classes as well, I mean, you can always, they said like, they gave us the option of having our regular binders too. We also did like notes. So they had templates, and I can share the templates with you if you're interested in them, but they also have like the Cornell note style templates for us to use. So I was able to put them into my virtual binder. So you could have your students do something similar too. But that's kind of up to you or up to the student too, if you wanted to give students choices of like, if you want to do a virtual binder, if you want to do kind of a more of a more of a like hard copy binder. So that's just something I know. Also, you could also make a portfolio or something really cool with the Google Sites too. So this is a website. Like I said, I didn't want to publish it. So I just keep it for myself. Any questions about that?
Oh, it's good.
Oh, good. So that was kind of all I had for today. So if there's any questions, comments, or concerns, now's the time.
Spencer. That was cute.
What did you do?
No, it was good stuff. Good stuff.
Like I said,
And I can see where a lot of this,
tools.
yeah, I can see where a lot of the stuff fits into what we've already got as a basic.
Exactly.
And it's taking it just to make it into something like we're talking about that binder. I mean, we've got our syllabus there. Also have our reading. We have our sources. We have it all cut up. I know I have mine all cut up in weeks with the videos, PowerPoints, and the reading for their homework, and then they take care and they accomplish all that. And they're getting it all done. And a binder would be great because then they could take a section that off, depending on their speed at home. Well, that would help them out tremendously.
Yeah, yeah, and I can share those templates.
Yeah, I've got students now who are already they're already getting my homework done maybe the first part of the week, and it doesn't have to be done until Friday in class, because they're getting it, and they're matching that with their PowerPoints and their videos, which helps them out tremendously. But yeah, I could see where if they could review that whole course, that would definitely be a plus for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. One place too. Keeps them organized, right? As one of the ways.
Yes, and that's what I got out of this one student. He says he's ahead of the game because he can see what he needs, and then he could portion his time as time for study time for more like math. No pun to math now, but he knows when he needs more time for math, and then he knows where he can put me in, so he's not getting blocked up. He says, "Well, this is a shorter lesson. I can do this maybe Wednesday instead of something else I pay attention to." So yeah, it's a big advantage for them to be able to portion their time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also, like Tony kind of mentioned too, with asynchronous work, they can kind of be flexible with their time too. So
yeah, that's good.
Kind of when they do it, or if they do it really quickly, then that's fine, right? They'll just go on to math homework instead, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Thanks, Abby.
Yeah, no. You're all doing a great job. And like we said, we just want to kind of give you some more ideas and tools to inspire you and to help you. And as we all transition online.
Well, thanks for that feedback from Tony too, because all of us out here pulling our hair out because we've never done this before, especially the field guys.
Exactly.
A lot of you ladies, and I don't are more of in-house and computers. A lot of our field guys, like me and some of the construction guys, now we're at it's a whole different level. When I first started teaching there, I was scared to death. So to transition all of our skills into words and formats and syllabus and stuff like that was such a challenge. Then you really find out how much you know, because now you got to put it all on paper.
Yeah.
So that's been a transition. That's been a reality check.
Definitely. And if you haven't taught online before, you're learning how to teach in a completely different way, right? Like it's a new thing. So like I said, we just want to help you. We want to help you kind of get ideas and refine your teaching and whatnot, because it is new and it's new territory. And so it's hard to switch all of a sudden to something completely different, as you all know. So
it's been fun.
Yeah, good. Well, you're definitely learning some new skills and getting more tech savvy, which is kind of cool as well. So, but the program managers and I have kind of talked about having more kind of in your meetings, your program meetings, doing AVID activities again, but making them AVID activities that are online. We didn't want to do that today because just it would take a lot of time, and we also want to make it kind of more specific to programs and whatnot. So we thought just doing some kind of tools would be good, but you can look forward to that too, because there are lots of ways to transfer all the AVID activities that we already know and love to online learning as well. So we can talk about that too. And obviously there are other things outside of AVID as well, so we can talk about that as well. There's a book. I don't know if your program managers have talked to you about this, but we are getting a book for all of you that kind of, it's very short. It's like 70 pages and just has it has like some tips and tricks for teaching online as well. So that's another reference that we're hoping to get to you soon.
Good work.
Thanks. Any other things before we go? Thank you. All right. Well,
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
High five. High five.
I can't see where my finger is.
Yeah, yeah.
Cute. It's a good activity. We should do that in our classes. So high five. It's like.
All right, bye everybody.
Okay, bye everybody.
Take care. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Abby.
day, y'all.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.